Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. This is eunicetan coming live from Singapore. How's everyone doing? Right, so it's afternoon, 4 p.m. at Singapore time. Right, let me know where you are watching this from. Are you watching this from Singapore or overseas? And if you're watching this from overseas, where are you watching from? Right, and what time zone over there? Are you working from home or are you in the office now? Do you manage? You can still go to the office, your work site, or if you are working from, or you have to work from home. And if you are watching from Singapore, let us know where are you watching from home, or are you watching at your workplace, right? Just let me check my audio. Seems to be okay, right? So if you can hear me, just type loud and clear in the comments box. Right. My name is eunicetan. I'm the director and founder of JPS Consultancy Firm. It's a boutique business consultancy firm whereby we help a lot of business owners, whether aspiring or existing business owners, to grow their business, to start their businesses and grow their businesses. Right, we help them with their sales, marketing, or branding, or what I call the front of house. Or we help them to take care of their admin and operations issues, the back-end matters that a business has to handle but may not want to do it themselves. We also host regular business sessions like this to share real recurring problems faced by many business owners, share solutions that I have learned from others and through my personal experiences as well. And most important of all, these solutions work. Right, and because of limited time and attention span, I will usually share the main gist of the topic in sessions like this. So let's jump into today's topic. Right, so just before that, hit the like button, share this video, and just feel free to comment in the comment box. Yes? Right, let me share my screen. Okay, you watching if you can see the slides proper, just type slides okay. Are you okay to, let me see. Okay, right, the slide is fine. Right, so today's topic is very, very important, an area that many know that is important, but many don't want to face it. It is something that very critical, yet many business owners especially do not want to talk about it. And yes, I'm referring to your numbers, right? When you first see this, right? Yes, I intentionally use this title. Excuse me, can I have your numbers, please? To give you an illusion, some of you might be thinking, is it mobile number? And you know how you ask someone for their mobile number if you're interested in them, right? So for your numbers in your business, you should develop the same level of interest as well, right? But we'll take a look at later on, why is it that so many people don't like to look at the numbers, right? We'll look at that in a minute, because that is also very important to know why you don't like to know your numbers, right? And if you think that we are talking about mobile numbers in terms of database, that's for another video. We'll talk about a database in another video. So watch this, keep a close look, like, share, and follow our videos, yes? Right, let's take a look on why is it that many people don't like to look at numbers, right? First and foremost, they are not good at it, right? Many people say that they are not good with numbers, and they just, the numbers give them headaches. And the moment they see numbers, they just want to faint, right? And some people say that it's very confusing, and the numbers is like, what? What plus this, and where are you now, and all those things. And some people find it very boring, right? And they just, numbers put them to sleep. If they have insomnia, they just look at numbers and they will just fall asleep immediately, right? And lastly, very importantly, the real reason why people, especially business owners, sometimes they don't like to look at numbers is because it's the feeling of inadequacy, right? I know, because I've been there before, and the feeling is not a very good feeling, that you realize that what are the numbers. Sometimes it means that you're not doing well in certain areas and all. But you have to just bite the bullet and face up to it, because at the end of the day, you have to know where is your problem, where is your bottleneck, and you cannot be an ostrich and hide your head in the sand and wishing the problem to go away, which is a very big mistake, one of the biggest common mistakes that many entrepreneurs make. Right? They don't dare to face up the truth, and because when they look at the numbers, they feel that they are not good enough. I know, because I feel that too. But the thing is that when I just look at the numbers and I realize, it's just for that moment, that 5 seconds of inadequacy. After that, just brace myself and then just think of a solution to resolve the issue. Now, the correct mindset of looking how you should look at numbers, actually, right? You just need to shift your mindset. And the correct mindset is this: what do the numbers mean? Right? Numbers by itself, right? Okay, numbers is one of the two universal languages in the world, in this whole universe. The other universal language is music, right? Now, why? Because numbers don't lie. Words sometimes can be very subjective, but numbers don't lie. But at the same time, right, numbers can mean many, many things. And you just need to know that looking at numbers by itself, it doesn't really mean anything. And you need to ask yourself, what do the numbers mean? For example, if I just tell you 1,000, what does 1,000 mean? It doesn't mean anything. But what if I say it's 1,000 per customer, or $1,000 per year, or 1,000 revenue per minute? Now it means something else, right? So effectively, right, what truths are they telling you, right? And what lies have you been telling yourself? Again, this is really learned from my own mistake and the hard knocks of it, because at the end of the day, when I start really looking at my numbers, then I realized that, there are things that I don't do that well, and there are things that I do better, right? So my personal experience is that, when I start looking at the numbers, there are some areas that I'm doing actually better than I think, right? And there are some areas that I'm doing worse than I think. I thought I'm doing well in my sales, I can cover my costs and my expenses and everything. And but the thing is that no, actually, it's not really that so. And also there's a cash flow issue as well. And when as the money comes in, that is also another very crucial piece of information, right? And the numbers also tell me where have I done right and where can I improve. It is really very important, isn't it? If you don't know where have you done right, if you know where you have done right, you can continue and improve and further expand on it and do it even better, more efficient, more effective. And where you can improve, and you need to know where you can improve in the sense that area that you can where you are not so good at, you can improve on it, and you don't waste time, you don't waste effort, you don't waste money on it. Yes. Right. And there are actually 5 categories of numbers that every business owner should know and focus on at all times, right? And there are many, many numbers that we need to look at, but just focus on these 5 categories at all times. If you don't have time to look at a lot of things, look at these 5 categories. Yeah, whether you are a freelancer, a solopreneur, a seasoned business owner, you just need to look at these 5 categories for start. Right. Later on, when you get more used to it, you can look at more numbers, you can look at more features and all. But these are the 5 categories of numbers that you really, really need to look at. Right. So let's take a look at these 5 categories. Right. First up, your market size. Right. Let's use an example. It's easier to understand, right? What I mean. So, for example, if you're targeting at singles, right, and there are about 1 million singles in Singapore. Is it a big market or is it a small market? Now, before I go on, right, and when we talk about singles, many in Delhi talk of dating agencies. That's only one business. There can be different kind of businesses that are targeting as singles as well. We have traveling. Now, I know we can't travel at the moment, but traveling will come back. And before this pandemic, there's already a growing trend of targeting at solo travelers, right? And there are F&B who are targeting solo diners. Even properties you can actually target as singles as well. And to be honest, if I'm a property agent, I will actually probably position myself as a go-to person for all the singles. Because why? Okay, why I like to target as singles? Now, many of us have been single in our life at one point or another, right? If you are single now, you can relate to them and they to you. If you are married, you were once single before, right? Okay, and singles usually give me less hassle, and they make decisions faster, whether it's a yes or no. No is still a good answer. I always say yes or no is a good answer. Maybe it's not, right? Because it could be yes, it's just a decision. Make a decision, and I can move on, right? Now coming back, if your business is targeting singles, now 1 million singles in Singapore. If this is the maximum number of clients that you can get, is that number good enough for your business? Now, usually what I do is that, although that's a statistic, right? And what I do is, I will, let me just get the slide up, right? What I do is half that maximum number to form my customer base. Why? Because there's a 50-50 chance that someone doesn't need my product or service, doesn't want my product or service, or simply doesn't like my product or service. Sometimes maybe it's me whom they don't like. And it's okay. I just focus on adding values to those who do like me, right? So we have reduced the potential customer base to 500,000. See the slide, right? See my numbers? Now, if the potential customer base have now reduced to 500,000, is this good enough for you? And notice I said potential customer base. You haven't closed the deal yet. Generally, we can use a 10% closing rate as a good gauge. We will talk about more about closing rate later on. So if you base on 10%, for now, just look at 10%, meaning that will give you 50,000 paying customers. Now, is that a good enough numbers for you? And what if the numbers is much, much lesser than this? What if I take away the last two zeros like this, right? And now you're left with 50,000 potential customers. And your paying customer is now reduced to 500. Would the number still be good enough for you? Now, why I put this as the very first number to look at is because 90% of entrepreneurs fear to assess accurately the potential market size for their businesses. For some of you, even in the most optimistic situations, the size of the target market may not be big enough to be sustainable, right? And remember in my other videos, I mentioned that your target market should be someone who is willing and able to pay for your product or service. And you might have to increase your pricing in order to be sustainable. We will talk about pricing in another video because there's a science and art to it, and it's a subject on its own. Right, so hit a like button, share this video if you have not done so, and follow us so that you will be notified when we have any new training videos, yes? Right, for some of you, it's the other way around. You underestimated your market size and you did not go all the way. As a result, you are making lesser money than you should be. In other words, you are not reaching your maximum potential. Can you imagine that? Leaving money on the table. So you must get this part right in the first place. Otherwise, everything you do later on is just a waste of your time and effort and energy and money, right? So I use these singles as an example, but it could be anything, right? You just bring the numbers in for the numbers that are applicable in your industry, your product, your services, right? And if you don't have an exact numbers, you can always gauge and do some research on what is the industry or what is the numbers or the statistics, and you can gauge from there. Now, there's quite a fair bit to talk on this, but I will leave it as it is for now because I don't want to overwhelm you at this stage. Let's just move on to the next point, which is really very important, and which is your salary. Okay, right. Now, you'll be surprised, many of you are surprised why I mentioned this item. And if the fact that if you are surprised is that you are making a very common mistake amongst all the entrepreneurs, right? And you will notice this video, right? Just watch to the end. You will notice that there are things that I cover which people don't normally cover, right? Now, coming back to your salary. Now, the best part of starting your own business is that you get to write your own salary paycheck, of course. But many people make the mistake of not doing so in the first place. More often than not, their mentality is that, I will pay depending on the sales I make, or I don't even have sales. How do I pay myself? You see, that's the problem. You don't pay yourself depending on the sales made. You decide how much you want to get paid, and then you find ways to get the sales. If you don't know how to do sales, you learn to do sales, because now you have a goal to hit. If you don't have a goal, you will just be drifting along, and 3 months down the road, you don't make any money, you give up. This is such a common phenomenon that, it just blows my mind how many people actually make this mistake. To be honest, I made this mistake a bit on myself as well, and that's why I'm sharing with you. I quickly recover in that sense. Now, when I say decide on your salary, granted, it can be challenging for some of you to hit your goal this month, especially for those who just started. So what you can do is to do it progressively. For example, ideally, you may want to pay yourself $5,000 or $10,000 a month, right? So you can start off by setting your first month salary to be just $500. I know it sounds very little, but it's actually a very common amount to start with. And every month, just add another 500 increment to that salary, right? And by the end of 1 year, you would have hit the $5,000 per month effortlessly, almost, right? Without knowing, without getting stressed out over it. That's what I mean by doing it progressively, incrementally. Now, by now, you might be saying, Eunice, you make it sound so simple. In business or even in life, things are simple. We humans like to complicate things. And also notice that I say it's simple, but I didn't say it's easy. Granted, there are many things to look at when running a business, so it is absolutely crucial to differentiate what are the things that you must put in place first. And this is one of them. So right after this video, write down the salary that you want to pay yourself and start working progressively to hit that goal. Yes, right? Write down your salary that you want to pay yourself with, right? Right, now let's move on to the third category. We'll build on that. You will see that the 5 categories is I'm actually building on the previous point, and I'm building the point after the next one. Right, let's move on to the third category of numbers that you need to look at, and it is your costs. Right, this part is fairly straightforward. Now, I just want to highlight 2 points here. Right, your cost is all your expenses and everything. Right, when I say your cost, it includes everything. Right, and but I just want to highlight 2 points here. And the first point is actually beware of additional or not so obvious costs, right? So for example, right, when you pay yourself a salary or you pay your staff a salary, you need to contribute in Singapore what we call the CPF. And there's always the employer's side, which is additional 17%, which you need to take note of, right? You need to add on to your cost. A lot of people make that mistake and they think that, I'm paying myself $3,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, and that's it. And only to realize that, you have to add additional 17% to it, right? When you pay your CPF. Now, there's also the GST that is 7%. Now, when you buy something, when you rent a space or whatever it is, always remember, sometimes take note of it. Sometimes when people give you a quote, a quotation, right? Just be careful, sometimes when you during verbal negotiation, right? The person might just say that, it's X amount, it's $100. right? But they did to mention that it's actually $100 that's GST on top of it. So all these at the moment GST is 7%, right? It can all add up to your hidden costs, right? Or not so obvious hidden costs, right? Then bonuses in terms of in Singapore, you usually pay a 13-month bonus at least, right? And especially if you have a staff later on, you need to take into consideration of this 13-month bonus, which actually need to pay CPF on top, and also you have other things to take note of as well. So this is actually another additional cost which you need to take into consideration when you run your own business. Now I have included here delays and time costs as well. Now when you do business, when you buy something, if you're doing selling products, sometimes when you have you order something from your supplier, now and sometimes they are scheduled to be here, say today, but for some reason, unforeseen circumstances, they couldn't make it, right? So there are some delays, right? So and delays can come in monetary form or non-monetary form. So for example, if there's a delay, right, and the vendor cannot send to you in time today, you might want to, but you have already promised your customer to deliver tomorrow. And because of that, what you have to do is that maybe you need to find some replacement, and it might cost you additional because usually you want something express, urgent, there will be a premium price paid to it. So you need to take note of that. And delay also come in the cost of qualitative and not necessarily quantitative, because if you delay, right, and it doesn't look good on you, you promise your customer tomorrow and you cannot deliver. There is a delay cost, a hidden cost to it. It spoils your reputation, right? So for me, when I promise my clients that if I were to deliver tomorrow, I will find ways to deliver it, right? Hello, see some friends watching. Hello, right? So I will find all ways to deliver and make it happen to them, right? And so because of that, sometimes I incur additional costs, right? Because to me, if I can resolve it by money, I will resolve it. Then it's not a problem because my reputation is more important, right? And you heard of the saying, reputation takes years. Reputation or trust takes years to build, but takes seconds to be short. So to me, reputation and trust is very important, right? And also there's a time cost. Now, time cost in terms of the turnaround time. So especially for those in the service industry, this is very, very prevalent, right? And for example, when you give for those who are in service industry, you provide a fee code that you will do this, you deliver this service. But to fulfill this service, right, you might have to, your plan was actually to turn around in 2 hours, for example, or half a day. But you actually turn out that you have to use 2 days to resolve this, to deliver the service because you underestimated the preparation time. Sometimes the delivery, the fulfillment part, yes, it's only half an hour, 1 hour, that kind of stuff. But you must be careful that the preparation time and that you need to take into consideration. If you're going to spend 5 hours to prepare, you need to take that into your consideration. It's your time cost. It's a cost, and time is something that once it's gone, it's gone. You cannot buy back time, right? So I always emphasize on that. And some of you have post-sale service, post-customer service, right? And this is also another form of time cost, which you need to take into consideration. So now if you charge, say, for example, $500 for the delivery of a service, which is delivered over 1 hour, now it seems like it's very good, right? But if you include the preparation time and the post-sales customer service time, and it takes about what, 10 hours, 20 hours? Now you are no longer making $500 per hour, but you are making $50 per hour or $25 per hour. You need to take that into consideration. Very, very important. Another very common mistake that is very prevalent in service industry, right? So let's move on to the next one, expansion cost, right? This is also a bit of a personal learning lessons as well for me, because what I realize is that, when you do your budgeting, when you do your costs, right, you need to include this expansion cost. right? You saw a lot of people, including myself, right? Oh, when I have the extra money, then I will spend. And when I have extra money, I will get this. Now, expansion costs, right, will include maybe in the form of, for example, people. You might at some point, because your business volume has gone up, congratulations, you might want to engage one assistant, a full-time or part-time, or you will need to engage someone at some point, right? Maybe not full-time, but at least part-time. Now, maybe you want to get some software to deliver to do your fulfillment in a more efficient and effective way. Maybe you want to finally get a proper office, right? In the past, you have a shared office or you work from home, but you will find that you do need a proper office to meet people, right? And maybe sometimes you are in the product, you are selling products and you need storage, right? This is so prevalent in my clients who do who sell products, right? And before they know it, the storage, right? They need a bigger storage, and a bigger storage means what? You need a bigger cost, right? And all this, right? You cannot wait until you have profit then you expand. In the first place, you need to include this as part of your cost because you do want your business to expand, right? Who don't want to make more money? But you do need it because at some point you will need to have, and even if you don't want to expand, it's also for inflation purpose, right? So what I do is that in terms of cost, once I have come up with all my costs, with the obvious one, the not so obvious one, you just add in whatever that you can think of, right? Just be aware of the not so, I don't call it hidden cost because it's not really hidden, it's just I never thought about it. So once you have taken into consideration of these two, right? So what I do is that I will add on 30% onto the costing, right? So whatever it is, so for example, if it's $10,000, then I'll add on 30%, which is another $3,000 as my cost. Now, some of you might be asking, so do I include my salary as part of the cost? You can, right? Or you can put it aside as your own salary as one of the items as well. There's no hard and fast rule in terms of this. There's only pros and cons, and it's fine, right? Why I say that it's fine because later on, right? Next slide will explain why we say that it's actually quite okay that whether you put your salary as part of your cost or you put it as separate, but regardless, you need to consider both. Now, you might be saying, right, if in the event that you don't want to expand, you are quite happy with where you are, you don't want to conquer the world, right? In the other video, I talked about the 4 purposes of starting your own business, which one of them is world domination, right? And the other one is that you just want a second income, and some of you want to replace your income, right? So go and watch the other video on that, right? So even if you not, this 30% is always good to be a buffer, right? You will never know when is it come in handy. It's like a rainy season for raining reasons, for rainy days, or you can always pass this on to benefit your staff, your team, or you can do it as charity as well. Regardless, what my point here is that to have a buffer and don't just do it just nice. It's not just nice, just in time is not a good budgeting strategy at this point of time, right? So your cost at another 30%, right? Let's move on to number 4, which is your revenue, right? Now that you have your salary and your cost sorted out, you can now work out how much revenue you need, whether on a monthly or yearly basis, right? If you have any question, you can type it in the comment box and we will try to address it as much as possible, right? Okay, so for example, your revenue, right? If your salary and your cost adds up to be, say, $5,000, yeah, one-man show, or you're freelancers, or you keep your operations for, that's fine. No issue on that. Now, I like to use 5,000 or small amount, just, it's easier to conceptualize. Some of you are already, bombarded by numbers and you're already put off by numbers. So I use small numbers so that it's easier for you to visualize. Now, so if your salary and cost work out to be $5,000 per month, that would be the minimum revenue that you need to get. Remember, numbers don't mean anything until you put a story to it and you put a meaning to it. Now, which means that your revenue, your minimum revenue has to be $5,000. And let's say your product or your service per unit, whether you know per item, if you are selling products, if your services, let's just put it at $50. I know you guys probably charge more than that, right? And maybe $50 per pack, right? And so if that's the case, if you need $5,000 and per unit you are selling at $50, how many clients do you need? This will mean that you need 100 paying customers per month is $100 paying customers per month. Now, that will bring us back to the market size. Remember, right? Now you know what I mean by I'm building one point after another, right? So is your market size big enough for you to close 100 clients per month? Don't forget, this is per month, right? So you need your market size to be big enough for you to close 100 clients per month, right? So all these numbers are a bit small so that it's easier for you to digest and for illustration only. So just change numbers according to your needs and your industry standards or average, right? Now, if you need our help to work this part for you, drop a message or email us for personalized analysis. We'll let you know which email to send to at the end of this session. So watch us to the end, yeah? So we have been talking about your market size, your salary, your costs, and your revenue. Now you might be saying and realize that you can talk to anyone and everyone about your product or service, but it doesn't mean that they will buy from you, right? So which brings us to the final category, which is leads and conversion, right? Now, simply put, what is a lead? A lead is someone who has come across your product or service. Now, there are many different ways of explaining what is a lead, right? But sometimes it differs a little bit from industries and companies, and but it's generally someone who has come across your product or service, who come across it, but not every lead will buy from you. As such, conversion refers to turning the lead into a paying customer. Now, with that, as such, so conversion rate means how many leads do you talk to before one of them becomes a paying customer. Let me give you a classic conversion rate to help you get started, because some of you don't know what's your conversion rate and all, right? So this classic formula is 10-5-1. Now, what does it mean? Now, it means that for 10 means you talk to 10 people, right? And for every 10 people you talk to, 5 are interested in your product or service. Now, and 1 become your paying customer, right? And in this case, your conversion rate will be 1 out of 10, a closing rate of 10%, we call this, right? Okay, this is quite a common closing rate across most industries. If you don't know your closing rate, you can use this as a base, as a start. So as you talk to more and more people, you can adjust the numbers accordingly, right? Is this important? Absolutely. Right, remember in our earlier example, we needed to have 100 paying customers, meaning your formula would now look like this, right? It will mean you need to talk to 1,000 people, 500 will be interested, and 100 buying from you, right? And this is on a monthly basis. Oh, I know some of you are in shock in this number, right? Now, there are 2 things that you can do. Once you know this number, once you know your conversion rate, there are 2 things that you can do, right? One is that you can think, one is to think of a way to reach out to this 1,000 people efficiently and effectively. For example, they are online speaking to groups instead of one-to-one. That will speed up to how many people you can meet, right? That will increase your number of leads, right? Number 2 is that you can improve on the conversion rate. Example, you improve on your presentation skills and your sales pitch. Let's say somehow you can't do your presentation online or to groups. You can only do one-to-one, right? You can only present your products one-to-one, present your services, your consultation, your training course one-to-one somehow, right? You might have to improve your sales pitch then. So well that you do your sales pitch so well that your conversion now looks like this. 10, 8, 5. Meaning you talk to 10 people, 8 are interested, and 5 buy from you. And that's an amazing closing rate of 50%. Right? So that is another way of doing that. And even if you can do online, you can do groups and all, right? If you want to, you will find that talking to 1,000 people, you don't like A, right? If you look at the slide, if you don't like the conversion rate A, right? You can find that 1,000 is overwhelming for you. You prefer to do the method B, improving your conversion rate. That's fine too. You can do that, right? And in fact, once you do that, you improve on your number of leads, you will find that it gets better and better. So it depends on which method you want to use, right? Okay, now that is about all that I have for today. Now, I trust that you have learned at least one thing today. We want to help you to solve your problems, but you have to help us to help you, right? And so you need to let us know where are your bottlenecks. Is it that you don't know your numbers, right? Or you know your numbers, but you don't know how to achieve your numbers. You don't know how to fulfill them. You have a problem, right? And you don't know how to reach your target market. You don't know how to reach your customers. Now, either way, email us at this email. I'm going to put inside the comments box as well, right? You drop us an email right about now. Okay, I'll come. Okay, that should be right. Right, drop us an email at this email address on where is your bottleneck. Right, is it your numbers? Is it that you know your numbers but you don't know how to fulfill them? Or is it other questions? Right, this session is about numbers, so we focus a lot on that. But if you have other questions, other form of bottlenecks, you can drop us an email for a complimentary discussion as well, right? So for some of you, your problem is not the numbers, but something else. And it could be the admin or operations or people issue. So let us know, we will do our best to resolve it. And in the meantime, check out our other videos for more business tips. And hit the like button right now. Remember to share, subscribe, and follow us for more business lessons, sessions. I'll see you in our next video. Bye.